Now, where's my video? Where am I? Anyway, okay, so this is what we have. Anyone that celebrates Merry Christmas, I know that it is Christmas, obviously, and that I'm still doing this early in the morning, but that's okay because I want to help you all of you out. I have this series going on. As you can see, my computer is still not working well, so you're going to lose me a few instances here and there when I do this. We'll just keep the screen small then, I guess. It's going to act up. Let's get back to our page. Anyway, so we were talking about the actual boxes themselves, borders, padding, and everything like that. But I don't want to, and we're also talking about classes and everything, but I don't want to have my border like this. I don't want to have the colors like that. So let's just get rid of all this stuff. Let's get rid of all this. I'll keep the comments in there just for fun. But we know how to reference. We know the difference between class and IDs, I hope. If not, ooh, that was a long time ago. Why is my thing? There we go. We know all that, but as of now, this is going to keep happening. As of now, we don't really know about certain manners in which we can, let me just refresh, so there we go. We don't know how to do certain things involving what's called alignment, right? We don't know how to align things. We don't know how to do how to stop this from happening where we have unordered lists. I mean, this is supposed to be our header. And right now our header is listed on top of each other and it's not in line like we want. Now, there are several different ways that CSS allows you to have everything sort of on one straight line, like I've shown you before with, say, Google. See, we have this, 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 and this. There are different ways that you can do what are called grids, or there's also some justification of alignment. There's, of course, there are other ways of like displays and what have you. But let's just look at the simple stuff. Let me just think. Is there something I wanted to do before? Something a little bit easier. Well, we'll figure it out as we go, like we always do. But anyway, when it comes to actual CSS, as I've said before, HTML creates these boxes or these areas, right? And when you have any of these boxes or these areas, within them are elements that also are boxes and areas and what have you. Now, with an unordered list like this, the unordered list is going to be these two. They have their own specific box setting. The nav itself has its own box setting and blah, but also the LIs, the list items, they have their own box setting. And we can, with those LIs, we can do what we please with them. There are certain elements in HTML that you can't really change the size of, more or less, like anchor tags, because they're anchors. But if you were to look at, say, these LIs, what if we don't want the LIs to be like this, but we want the list items to be next to each other or what have you? Well, as I've said, when we look at the... Is that because the button doesn't work, or is that because the... whatever. If we were to look at the... Nothing works, folks. My computer, everything is... It's just shot. I don't want to get too deep into it, but the internet's been down for a few days, and the internet company is still making it seem like every little Band-Aid they put on is working. There's a big problem we have here. So you have to bear with me. Nothing's working correctly. This could also be because of my software. It's just not working correctly. But whatever the case, I wanted to show you the right-click elements and nothing's happening. But if you remember that diagram that we had before where there was box and then the padding and then the border and then the margins and whatever, that also applies to the list items. So if we were to try to style these list items individually, as we were doing yesterday. You'll notice that if I were to just say LI like I did before, and I were to say margin bottom 10 pixels, this may work. I mean, I don't think it will, but it may work. Yeah, it does. So there you go. So like each one of these list items is its own space, but we want to be able to do something with the whole lot of them. And what we want to do is we have to kind of reference the list items within their parents. Now, let's start using some terminology here. When you say parent and child, right? A parent, or the parent element, is the element that is the outermost element. So for in this instance, the header is the parent element of the nav, which is the parent element of the unordered list, which is the parent element of the LI. This is like generational here. So this is the matriarch or the patriarch. Then here comes the child, then the grandchild, and then the great-grandchild. And then if you want to go even further, the anchor tag within the LI is the great-great-grandchild. So this is the parent, child, 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 child. And you can reference each one in that manner with CSS. So if you were to say something like, you could do LI, margin, bottom, whatever, but let's say you wanted to style the LI, these things, you want to get rid of these dots here, and you want to style the LI, what you can do is you can do UL LI, right? And you can say, actually we don't need that right now, let's go like this. Let's do a UL and let's say list style No, it's not going to work again. Again, my internet's shot, so it keeps shutting down. So let's do, I want to get rid of this. List, what is it? List display. What was it again? It's list. Display. No, this isn't working. Let me go back 1 second. Well, I would like to look it up, but let me just see. CSS list style. List style, that's what it was. Okay, so we go list style, and we go none, right? Now we can get rid of those. But let's say, for instance, to show the children thing, let's say we want these to, we just want this one to be a different color. So we can go UL, and then whenever you need to give CSS in a specific element a little bit more direction, you go colon, last child. And then you say, color orange or something like that. And you're probably not going to see that because of the fact that it's already in its purple state. Yeah. Let me show you another thing while we're doing it. So UL last child. Actually, I don't. Let's go like this. Let's go UL LI A, so we can reference each. We can go further and further and further down the list. And we know that because you might have like an anchor tag somewhere near and somewhere else, you might have an LI somewhere else. So if you want to make sure that the CSS knows which specific element you're choosing, you just say the UL, the LI, the list item of that UL, because we only have one UL, and the anchor tag within that. You just keep referencing that way. And we'll just say that, and if you want to give it some direction, as I was saying before, you can say, in this case, it would be visited, I think. Is it visited? Yeah. And let's go color, I don't know, blue. And now it's blue. Now if I were to say, last child, let's do something that's, let's say underline, let's say border bottom, 1 pick solid black, for instance, right? It should change. I'm not sure if you're going to see that. Yeah, oh, there you go. Okay. So this underline here is only the last child. It's only on the last child, right? This is the last child. This is the last child of the UL. Now, if I were to say LI last child, well, then it's just this, because we only have 2 LIs and their children are the A's. So there's that hierarchy of parent, child, last child, and everything. Now there's also nth child. That's more like every odd number or whatever. There are different types of children references you can have, so you can do every other one and whatever. But typically, like I said, the way it works in the hierarchy is parent, child, child, child. And anything within, obviously not this isn't a child of the A rank, this is the A tag. But anything within, anything that has like an element within. So again, this right here, if I were to put a paragraph here of just say whatever, this paragraph is now a child of this div class. Anytime you open or close a tag, or anytime you have a tag within another tag, like if we were to put, another image or something like that, or another anchor tag, that would be a child of this hierarchy, this element, this hierarchy. So it was an impromptu way to introduce children. What I really wanted to do was talk about alignment, so I'll let you do that. I just want to let you know that typically you'll hear the term child, parent, everything. Parent, again, is the element that has within it another element. So the element within the element is the child. The exterior element is the parent. So this is the parent of the anchor tag. This is the parent of the LI, which is the grandparent of the anchor tag. This is the parent of the UL, and so on and so on and so forth. And then I just wanted to show you that you can do stuff like that. And also I wanted to show you these like actions, these actions references, or these other references. You can go even further with these references, where you can say if you have an input field, for instance. Do we have an input field? File. Let's put an input field in here. Let's just put let's put it over here. Let's just put an input field. Right? So put an input field there. And if we wanted to go even further, like there are just simple references to certain things. There are also further references that you can use. And something like, let's take a look, let's put in a placeholder. Where is that? Something like a placeholder, if you wanted to style a placeholder, you would use input double colon placeholder. And then you would say something like font family Arial or whatever. And then we'll even do font size. I haven't done that yet. 16 pixels. Where is it? Where's my input field? Input type text, place. Oh, it should be underneath the picture. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if you see right here, you see the username. It's like it's Arial. It's 16 pixels. There are certain things there are certain aspects to elements like input fields or whatever that need further review. There are also things like, if you want to go real crazy. There are also things like LIA after, stuff like that. Margin, bottom, 10 pixels. Like it's sort of the double colons are sort of like you see right here. The double colons are more of an extensive reference. I mean, it's good to know. We will be doing things with the placeholders, the afters. There's also before, like something like that. These kind of reference. Let me see if I can explain this to you better. When you do something like after or before, it's almost, these aren't actions per se, but the double colons kind of have a deeper reference, a little bit more intimate reference. But like before and after is, if you were to look at this anchor tag or something and you said before or after this anchor tag, it's the space that's just right before it or right after it. It goes down to the nitty gritty. I tend not to do that stuff. I just wanted to mention that to you, even though I probably confused the hell out of you. But yeah, we'll do stuff like this, but we won't do stuff like this. Typically, you would just kind of reference a style for something with with a colon, so that the colon sort of, it's like the colon kind of dots the actual element itself, and before and after are just before and just like somewhere within here. It would be, it would kind of, like this, this, if you say like visited on the anchor tag, it would be the whole anchor tag. Before would be right here, and after would be right here. It's more intimate, is what it is. It's not just a broad thing like, all the anchor tags within here do this. It's something that would be a little bit more intimate to this, to the actual element itself. That's all. I mean, it's nothing you really need to worry about right now. I shouldn't have brought it up yet, but I did, because we're talking about parents and stuff like that. So, in relativity to what we're doing. Hey, that reminds me of what we can do, positioning. I forgot about positioning. Anyway, so in relativity to like parents and grandparents and stuff, before, after, things like that, and children, they're real fancy ways of referencing certain spots in an element on CSS. It's not something to be intimidated by. Again, you'll see it more as we go along, but as of right now, I just wanted to mention that. And since I did bring it up, spacing. Let's talk about spacing for a bit. Okay? So we know about margins, we know about pixels. A pixel is a dot. Everything that you see on this page is a dot, right? So every pixel is just one dot. So you see this, even this Cytorama header is just countless dots, black dots, creating every single one of these letters. So when you use pixels, you're saying, okay, 10 of these dots. If you were to say, if you were to say li border bottom, one solid black, li margin bottom, let's say 5 pixels. We'll do alignment next. This is stuff I wanted to. Yeah, as you can see, we had a little bit of space, but that space is not really that big a deal. There are other forms of spacing. There is EM, and EM, as you can see, is a lot larger. I think EM is 16 pixels per. There is REM, not the band. Got my orange crush. There is, off the top of my head, well, we'll look it up. Let's take a look. CSS spacing. Okay. Because I just want to make sure that I give you, if this thing will work, which it does. Let's see. Okay, like you can do like point whatever. So if I were to say 0 point, and make sure you put 0 point if you want to do smaller amounts, EMs. You know, it wouldn't be that big. I mean, a lot of people use EMs. I don't see why. I just use pixels, but I just want to say, where is that? What's the EM? Like, yeah, it's yeah, relative units and whatever. It's relative. I forgot what it stands for, but it's like 8 pixels and 16 pixels. I don't ever use EMs. I use pixels because I like to be distinct. If you just want to kind of have like a certain amount of like a broader amount of pixels without putting in exactly how many pixels, you can use EMs. It really, to me, it's just like it's showing off. It is, you could do the same thing with just by saying, you know, 8 pixels. A pixel is it's pretty much the same thing. It's one spot as opposed to like 8 in one shot. But you know, that, again, with the spacing, there are different types of spacing you do. CSS has a lot of options, so you don't have to just focus on one. I'm going to be doing pixels mostly, but you just said, you know, there are REMs, there are EMs, there are other ways that you can space things out, and as you can see, it's just humongous. But more or less, I would just do pixels. That's just me. We're going to be doing pixels as we move along, but I just wanted to show you that there are those things. So this was kind of all over the place, and the reason is because I planned on what I wanted to do, but I didn't really think it through thoroughly. But now that I threw all that at you, I hope you're not confused. You'll see it as we go along. When we come back, we're going to finally do like alignments, and it should be fun. I'll see you then.